What's up, guys and gals? My name is Joy, and today I'm going to be reviewing Curse of the Pharaohs DLC for Assassin's Creed Origins. Man, where do I even begin with this? I really like Ancient Egypt. I was really excited for Assassin's Creed Origins, and I ended up giving the full game a 5 out of 10. Mainly because it's a beautiful world. You know, it's not a bad game for being a 5 out of 10. I just thought that it was average beyond the expectations I had for it. So again, let me give you some background. When I was growing up, I constantly read about King Tut's findings and the archaeologist who found him and the curse that apparently Tut's tomb laid on those two archaeologists that found him. So I was really fascinated with ancient Egypt growing up as a kid. I also have played a card game by Konami before they went down the shitter, known as Yu-Gi-Oh, growing up as well. And I was really interested even more so in ancient Egypt. So moving forward, I was really excited for Assassin's Creed Origins. I figured the base game would have a lot of activities to do. It would be, you know, a take on ancient Egypt, and to a degree, it very much is an ancient Egypt game. However, it reeks of Ubisoft's involvement in this game that they set a specific tone for. And so that's why I gave it a 5 out of 10. What I mean by that is that Origins, before it came out, was supposed to be considered an RPG, a different take on Assassin's Creed. That's what they were trying to showcase it as, is like this RPG. You've got loot and you've got numbers. The problem is the loot system is about as bad as the Division in terms of the RPG mechanics. The gear you get, or like the armor or the clothing, it's clothing, it's not armor, so it's basically Fable 2 clothing. It has no armor stats at all like Fable 1. It's basically Assassin's Creed Origins wants to be like Fable 2, but lacks the magic, right? Lacks magic powers and all that crap, but it's technically the same game if you took out magic. The swordplay is that of Dark Souls, but honestly, that does, you know, changing the combat, while it's a good change, it doesn't make the game any more refreshing than previous entries for Assassin's Creed. So at first, when I started up Origins, I really enjoyed this game. I went in really excited, really hyped about it, but like all Ubisoft games that really excite you, they do end up really disappointing you after a couple hours of playing. This is present in Assassin's Creed Origins later on when you run into 5 million forts and 5 million animal encampments, and it's the same thing copy and pasted 500 times. This is where Ubisoft's involvement, I think, got involved with the game and ruined the game in this area. The endgame, there's no endgame in this RPG. There's nothing to speak of. There's no progression system either. You could spend $10 on the Ubisoft store in Origins, get legendary gear out at level 1, and play with that all the way up until the max level if you wanted to. So there's no RPG here. There's also no Witcher 3 type of, like, there are side quests in the game, but there's no interactions with the world. It's just a beautiful world that you'll look at, and that's pretty much the basics that you can summarize it as. Now, we had the Hidden Ones DLC, which, honestly, after playing it, it was okay. I wasn't really, like, as excited when I played it. I actually felt really meh about the whole Hidden Ones DLC. I thought it was okay, but it wasn't the DLC I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to the Curse DLC, though. I figured this could bring the magic. I like King Tut's, I like Nefertiti. I know who all these big names are. I know who Ramses is. I know all of them. But Tut is my favorite. Well, the DLC came out. I beat it within about, I'd say, 7 hours. I do have the Ramses fight somewhere, but I can't find it, so I'll probably just do New Game Plus and do it again for you guys and upload the fight that way. Ultimately, though, did Curse of the Pharaohs fulfill the gap that the rest of the game was lacking? The honest answer for $20 is no. I don't think so. Now, to the Assassin's Creed fans who got the spoiler at the end, I don't know if you guys watch Fishy at all or whatever his name is, but he covers a spoiler in the Curse DLC that takes place after you beat it, which I thought was really interesting, because that was probably the only good part about the entire DLC for me. Most of the other parts just felt tacked on to say that there's activities here. The Pharaoh fights start off really interesting and unique, but like the Division, soon become bullet sponges, or in this case, punching bag sponges that have no rhyme or reason to them. Whereas a game like Monster Hunter World makes its combat fun and unique, Assassin's Creed follows the formulaic Ubisoft crap that we have in old games. Origins is a good game to look at and to walk around in for the first couple hours, just like Battlefront 2015 EA was a good game to walk around in and look at for an hour or two to relive that moment of ancient Egypt, or the Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser, or whatever. And then after that it wears off and you realize that this game has no RPG mechanics. It follows the same tacky Ubisoft systems, and its DLC also does this, and this is where the DLC hurts. So in Curse of the Pharaohs, unlike the hidden ones, the best gear is actually at the end of the DLC. You get a lot of it from the mummy fights. You upgrade your hidden blade and stuff from the scorpions and the mummy fights in the streets with civilians, which at first those sounded cool, but when I saw that they dropped resource materials to upgrade your hidden blade rather than like unique outfits or any incentive to want to do them again, it instantly lost me at that point. So an example, when you start the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC, you run into an undead pharaoh known as Nefertiti, who is a queen of Egypt, but she's at this point a resurrected, pharaoh undead, mummy or whatever. And you fight her in the streets, and she's killing a bunch of Roman dudes, and there's like a cutscene, and you fight her. Well, when you kill her, you don't get like you don't get a legendary weapon like you did with the Phalanx guys. And then you just get crafting upgrades for like your hidden blade, which that's it. That's all you get, and some XP. And then when you actually kill the real Nefertiti, not the spawning version of that, you get a legendary. But then the spawning ones disappear, so you can't get the star shards anymore. This actually hurts the game, in my opinion. I think the random spawns should keep going after you've killed the main pharaoh boss. And I think they need to drop, like legendary gear. Give me something to do besides Rita, and I think that'd really improve it. Also, the end game RPG mechanics for Origins, again, they don't really fit what the game's trying to do. Getting a legendary at level 1 and being able to plow through it all the way to, use it all the way to 40 is not good loot distribution in an RPG. So if you're trying to make an Assassin's Creed RPG, Ubisoft, you failed in that regard. Take games like Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World, you start with low rank gear and you work your way up to high rank gear. But in order to get the best gear, you have to kill the best of the best. Assassin's Creed doesn't follow that progression system, and that is why I've lost interest in Origins up until this DLC, and I haven't played it in months because I log in, I do the Trial of the God events that reset, and then I log out. And it's actually funny that we're mentioning this now because I have a fucking survey from Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed team in my email again. Except instead of filling it out this time, I'm not going to fill it out. I think the way that Ubisoft needs to understand this is they need to lose their player base again to understand that they keep fucking up here. And they're not listening to the feedback anyways, apparently. So Curse of the Pharaohs is not a bad DLC. I don't feel that it was worth it. And I'm a huge fan of Ancient Egypt. I love, like I said, I know a lot of these big players are, but it felt disorganized. It felt messy. It felt like it was just tossed in there to be there. Lucky! Come here, now! I'm gonna strangle the fucking cat. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, for 20 bucks, you get this big open landmass, right? You see this in the videos that I've uploaded, and you get these cool looking cities. The problem is with Origins, unlike Witcher 3, where you go to like Skellige and you interact with some of the, like the Lord of Skellige you interact with, the Baron you interact with in like the first 30 minutes of Witcher 3. You interact with somebody in the world that while it's a quest, yes, it's presented in a way that makes you feel like you're interacting with those people in the world in Witcher 3. Whereas in Origins, when you interact, it's literally one person and there's a bunch of other people around you and they're not listening to your conversation. You can't talk to them. There's a blacksmith guy, there's a stable dude, there's a gear menu, and there's some shit. like loot that's littered. And then when you go to the treasure locations that Ubisoft has copy and pasted 500 times, or the forts, it gives you shit loot. It gives you like blues. I could take on a level 3 fort right now in the game and maybe have a chance to get a legendary. Maybe. I have a better chance at Rita, which is the loot box bitch in the game. So the whole RPG itself of Origins falls on its face, not only in the base game, but does this continuing in the DLCs. And this is why I hated the DLC. I did enjoy elements, and I enjoyed exploring those locations, but what I came to find out later was that they were just big open spaces with copy and pasted shit from the base game, and one interesting boss fight at the center or the middle of the location or locale. And then once that fight's over, there's no reason to even consider going back there or bothering or doing anything. So it's just read a quest again and Trials of the Gods. This hurts Assassin's Creed Origins in more ways than I can even describe here with the time I have. So if you want a game that's going to give you hundreds and hundreds of hours, is Origins or Monster Hunter World a better game? Well, that's a no-brainer already. I can already tell you which one's going to give you more content or more playtime because of the way the progression system works. And obviously, you're looking at it. You're looking at it right now. Does that mean the end game in Monster Hunter World is as good as or better than Assassin's Creed Origins? No, but you get more playtime out of a game like this than you will in Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, if you're looking for a good end game, both of those games they're not even on a level like, let's say, Warframe. They just don't compete with Warframe in the end game department or something like that, or like an MMO like World of Warcraft. Which is sad because I was really looking forward to Assassin's Creed Origins. I wanted to play this game for hours, and I've put in about 200 hours in this game. So I have almost every outfit in the game, minus some of the store crap because I won't spend the money on it, and I don't care. But again, there's no incentive to keep me playing. Those outfits do nothing for my character progression. The loot is terrible for pretty much the entire game, unless you get like a legendary from a Rita chest, or again, buy one. All the loot is blue or purple. None of it will ever be yellow unless you kill the Phalanx guys or the Papyrus dudes in the base game, which again is something you have to seek out. You have to seek that out. That's not something that you have to do. Like, so I could play the whole story of Origins and never see a legendary, right? I have to seek out those specific things, but those aren't fort related or treasure trove related. Those are just side quests, rewards, or whatever. I think there's a legendary at the end of the base story of Origins as well, like Hetzeva's Flame Sword, which nobody uses now anyways. The point I'm trying to make is the loot is so messed up in Origins, the way it's distributed to you as the player, and the way that they like. So in the Hidden Ones DLC, they gave you mounts off the vendor. Like, you could buy the legendary mounts off the vendor the moment you loaded the DLC up. Luckily, there's only one mount in fucking Curse. The problem is, it's also off a vendor. You can buy it off a certain vendor in the Curse DLC, and then there's two outfits, and both the outfits look like shit compared to the store ones because they want you to spend money. So what I'm trying to get at here is the progression system in Origins is so it's backwards. It's completely backwards. It doesn't feel like an RPG. It starts to show its Ubisoft colors later in the game as you play it. That goes for the entire game and the DLCs. And that's what hurt the game for me the most. And so when I was playing Curse, while I was enjoying the new locations, and I was killing the giant scorpions, and I was killing the pharaohs, and I was exploring Thebes, I felt a sense of emptiness in this world. Massively. That's a problem, because this open world is devoid of life. Yes, there's NPCs walking around, but again, you can't do anything with them. You can't do a thing like, so in Fable 2, I could start a job. Fable 1, I could do a job, or not a job, sorry. Fable 2, I could do a job as a blacksmith or a barkeeper. You know, like I was actually serving drinks to people in Fable 2, or anviling shit in Fable 2 for the blacksmith and selling people swords, or making swords for the next morning's, milk run or whatever. The point I'm trying to make is that game felt more RPG-ish, even though it had no armor system, because of some of the things you could do in the game. Whereas in 10 years later, we're regressing in RPG development. It's like these games just pop out the word RPG on the title, but they're not RPGs at all. In fact, they're just action games, but they don't want to call themselves action games because they've already listed themselves as RPGs. Assassin's Creed Origins and its DLCs in general is an RPG, but very little of it is an RPG, I would say. And so, with Curse, my rating for it is going to be another 5 out of 10. I don't want to praise the DLC. I think it's average. I think you get what you pay for. I think you get your $20 worth. I don't think it's worth $20. But that's Ubisoft's pricing. I can't tell you to pay $15 for it if they're selling it for $20. I thought it was worth $10. That's what I think. Because there's nothing to do in it. I got all 100% achievements or trophies in this DLC in 7 hours. So it's a 7-hour DLC. It's pretty lengthy. It's apparently bigger than the Blade of Galadriel DLC for Shadow of War. But that doesn't matter. At least Shadow of War has something for me to grind for, whether it's repetitive or not. Every endgame should be somewhat repetitive, right? Monster Hunter's endgame's repetitive, even though I don't like it for other reasons. But Shadow of War has an endgame that's actually there. There's an endgame there that's somewhat decent. Not perfect, but it's there. It exists. Whereas Assassin's Creed Origins has no endgame, no replayability. There's no sense of achievement or accomplishment in the game at all. I don't feel special when I get a legendary in this game. I don't feel special when I've killed an undead pharaoh in its DLC. I don't feel special when I get a legendary outfit because they don't feel legendary. They feel like, hey, good job for, beating this boss, and here's a free outfit, or here's a legendary on the vendor, go buy it. It doesn't feel rewarding. It feels casual as fuck, and I think that's what ruined the entire fucking game for me. Like, this is a game I was looking forward to. And I have to say this before I end this video in my complete disdain for Origins right now. Ubisoft, this is ancient Egypt. You fucked with the wrong person here. Okay? I love ancient Egypt. And while I love Curse of the Pharaohs to an extent, again, I gave it a 5. I said it was average. I don't think it's worth $20. I'd say $10 tops for this. And it has some nice locations, beautiful locations. It has some elements I like, sure. It is missing the potential to this game, Origins in general, is so massive that I honestly think Ubisoft has to be the dumbest developer in the world. Either they're making Origins 2, and if they do that, there's a lot more potentials they can do with this. So I'm going to give you an idea, Ubisoft. I want you to hear me out here. Take Dynasty Warrior Empires, okay? A game that really doesn't change, other than 9, which 9 is not the Empire series. It's just Dynasty Warriors 9. But if you take Dynasty Warriors, let's say 5 empires, or 8 empires, or 6 empires, or 7 empires. There are systems in that game that I like, right? Why not make AC Origins 2, if you make a sequel, God forbid. If you're going to go full RPG, you need to go full RPG. You can't sit here and play it safe with Origins 2 if you decide to make a sequel. Because if you do, and you put Assassin's Creed on it, I'm probably not going to buy it on principle. And the reason for that is because I honestly think Assassin's Creed, the name brand, and Ubisoft, with their hand in the damn cookie jar, have ruined what Origins should have been. That's what I think. They do this a lot, by the way, so this isn't new. Division 2 will be exactly the same. That's another rant for another video, which I'll go into, because I have heard the news. I've heard all this news. You guys are wondering where the news videos are and topics are. I have heard all this shit. I've read about all this. I'm waiting to put out my videos on and my thoughts on all this shit. But Division 2 is going to fail. We'll get into that in another video. Anyways, moving forward. Ubisoft has good ideas, and every time they fail to capitalize on them. Ancient Egypt, The Division, Ghost Recon Wildlands, all great ideas, all beautiful, great ideas. And, if you asked me about Ubisoft 10 years ago, they capitalized on a lot of these ideas. Nowadays, they don't do this. They make games with good ideas, but they underperform or underdeliver in a lot of areas with their ideas. this is a growing trend with Ubisoft, and this is honestly why they're probably going to go bankrupt very soon, because I don't think people are going to buy the next Origins game. I'm not. If you're an Assassin's Creed fan and you enjoyed Origins, step back for a second and realize what it did differently from, let's say, Unity. Aside from change the combat and make it a loot system game, what else did it do? Unity had a bunch of hideouts and forts. The Ezio trilogy had forts and a bunch of hideouts. I mean, it's the same recycled garbage. You see what I'm saying? They keep using the same shit over and over. And this is the Ubisoft way. This is how they do it. So, this is known at this point. So, if you're going to make Origins 2, my advice and my recommendation is take Dynasty Warriors 9 Empire elements and put it into this game. Make it a strategy type game in ancient Egypt, like Rome 2 or something. I would be more inclined to buy it then than if it had the label Assassin's Creed on it. That's just my take. Okay? Let me control an ancient army like Total War. Because Total War the Total War franchise is strictly for PC. Consoles don't have a good RTS set in like medieval times or ancient times or whatever, other than the Dynasty Warriors Empire games, which have lost favor as of recently. Just the name Dynasty Warriors anyways has lost favor. But if you made an RTS game set in Origins world with armies that I could control and command like Dynasty Warriors Empire franchise, and then have like city management like the Three Kingdoms games, and it all ran smoothly and well on a console, I'd pick it up. I absolutely would pick that up. I'm surprised the developer hasn't done that. I think the last good RTS game I played on a console was Command & Conquer 3 Tiberian Wars, and that was for the 360. That was the last good RTS on a console I played. So you have a great idea. You have a great concept. You have ancient Egypt with the Empire formula. It could totally work if done right. If the AI isn't brain dead like the Dynasty Warriors games, the generals are unique to play, and there's a sense of progression and reward for the RTS element. And then you can put a story in there too, because it's an RTS. I think it'd be a good fun experience. I definitely would pick that up. The problem is, I shouldn't have to tell you this. You're developers. You have imaginations. You have creativity. Why hasn't this happened yet? Because you're stuck making the same recycled bullshit over and over and over. And this is why I can't stand Ubisoft, Activision, or EA at the moment. I have no games coming out, by the way, that I'm excited for as of now. The 3 games I was looking forward to in 2018 have pretty much came out. The only one I'm missing is Ace Combat, which I'm still waiting, Bandai Namco. Where the fuck is my Ace Combat, you fucking pricks? Dynasty Warriors 9's out. Okay. Monster Hunter World's out. Okay. Am I looking forward to anything from Ubisoft? Far Cry 5? Hell no. I'm telling you this, Ubisoft, so that you can learn from this, okay? Am I looking forward to an Origins 2 Assassin's Creed game? Hell no. Am I looking forward to Division 2? Hell fucking no. No way in hell will I buy that game again. Not after the shit that was the first one. You gotta be dumb as fuck to buy that game. And it's the same for EA and Activision. They're in the same fucking boat. They're just pumping out all this trash. Trash, 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 trash. I can't wait to see what EA does at E3. If they don't get fucking executed on the stage at E3, I might actually be a little surprised. Because they need to be called out at E3 majorly. And if all the press just sits there and smiles and claps their hands and doesn't even stand up and say, fuck you guys and fuck your scammy tactics, I legit will be pissed. But that we already know that won't happen because the press has paid off. That's why. So if you see the people in the crowd at E3 not stand up to E3 and boo them, there's a good chance that they've been paid off. Okay? Just throwing that out there. Moving forward. So there's nothing else I'm looking forward to. Ace Combat 7 is the last game that I'm actually looking forward to. In fact, I'm looking forward to getting older titles on older consoles right now than anything next-gen related. because that's how bad it is right now. So there's an idea for Ubisoft. There's an idea on how to make Assassin's Creed great again. Will they listen? I don't know. I've sent in surveys for Origins already, and I got another one in my damn email asking me, hey, what do you think of Origins? Do you like Origins? Blah, blah, blah. Why are you not playing Origins? Why are you playing Monster Hunter World? Because there's things to do in Monster Hunter World. There's nothing to do in Origins. I have to wait for your trial events to spawn every fucking day. And it's a shame, because I have high respect for Ashraf Ismail on Twitter. He seems that, they have a good development team for Origins. Very nice people. I respect them highly. Probably one of the few developers I do respect, because they've actually Ubisoft's really good when it comes to communicating with fans. They're not as bad as like EA's and DICE's team on the forums, where they'll just censor you. They're actually pretty good with communication. And they seem like nice people. That said, though, that doesn't make up for the lack of the RPG elements in Origins and its DLCs. Doesn't make up for what I expected from the game, which was some type of replayability in Assassin's Creed Origins. The problem is, and I love this game. I mean, I do love it. I have been playing it more and more. But again, there are faults with the game that I'm calling out, and things that I want for the future. Not maybe for Assassin's Creed. I think that's ran its course. I think end Assassin's Creed here, and if you're going to use the Edward Kenway, Pirates of the Caribbean setting, and the Origin setting for future projects, definitely make an RTS like Total War in the Cleopatra and Octavian age, or even Caesar age, like the Total War franchise has done, but make it for console. And you have a massive game there. You have an enterprise, maybe with some RTS systems and city management like Total War, and you have a franchise right there. But I shouldn't have to tell you that. That's the thing. So that's not what I was expecting from Origins and its DLC. Obviously, I did expect an RPG with Origins, not an RTS. But that's what I want for the future with this setting from a Ubisoft title, right? That's my wish list. Otherwise, if you're going to do an RPG, you need to do a full-fledged RPG with things to do in the world besides loot caves, kill crocs and gators. You need something to keep the player playing. And a million spamming forts with different entrances and a million loot caves with unrewarding loot is not gonna do that. You gotta have a progression system in place if you really want to do an RPG the right way. And I feel that Origins and its DLC did fail there. With that said, guys, my name has been Joy. Sorry I went on a rant here, but that's how I feel. 5 out of 10 for the DLC. It's not worth $20 to me. Now, if you've got $20 lying around, you don't want to order pizza or whatever, go fucking buy it. Try it out. Give it a shot. I'm not saying it's bad. It's average. But the entire time I was playing it, I felt like it was just this giant, pretty open world, and there's fuck all to do in it. And that hurts the game. That's the biggest gripe I have with this entire game and its DLCs, because I love Ancient Egypt. I just wish there was more to do in it for the player with, I could load up my account and upload a video of all my loot right now. Half of it I don't even touch, because I don't need to. That's how much loot I have. It's so just meh. It's unrewarding. It's uneventful. That hurts the game. So for the future, if you're going to do an RPG, go all RPG, make the loot rewarding, and everything will be fine. Take an example from Monster Hunter. It starts with low rank gear, shit gear, and then it goes into high rank gear, which is like the better stuff. But obviously the fights ramp up. They get harder. If you do it something like that, you have a full RPG. Create side quests like you did in Origins. Create jobs or activities for the player to do other than side quests. And you have a full-fledged RPG. Congratulations, Ubisoft. Don't copy and paste the same thing 10 times. Don't copy 10 forts the same times. Give us different looking forts, maybe with different leaders in them, and maybe they have their own moveset or their own unique abilities and fighting styles that the other fort may not have. And maybe that person will drop different loot, whereas the other guy will drop something else. Kind of like what you did with the Curse DLC. And then I'd be more interested, because then you have a loot system that's rewarding. Okay, well, this boss drops this hammer. I don't really want that hammer, though, but this boss over here has a different fighting animation, and he drops, like, twin daggers that have explosive damage on them or something. You get what I'm saying? Like, that would be more cooler, because then it's like, well, I'm fighting a different enemy altogether here, and I can choose the path that I want to go on. Give me that freedom to do that, but at the same time, don't restrict it with copy and pasted shit and uneventful loot. Also make fights hard. The better the fight, or the harder the fight is, the better the reward. And there you have a successful RPG. I can't believe I'm explaining this shit to developers. It's ridiculous. Anyways, rant over. That's my review of Curse of the Pharaohs. 5 out of 10. It was average. I expected more from it. I wasn't entirely disappointed, but it didn't give me a boner and make me want to keep playing Assassin's Creed Origins. There you have it. That's my review. Bye, guys.